Thank you. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Bula Vinakan, a very, very good morning to all of you. It's about 3 a.m. here in Fiji. Our collective future stands at a crossroads. The path we choose collectively as nations, states, governments, cities, communities, and individuals will not only be walked with pledges or commitments, but by actions at an international and local scale. Our common home, the planet Earth, is being degraded and fundamentally altered by a tragedy of the commons. Our distorted measures of progress have increasingly come at costs to our planet, our people, and a future that our children cannot afford. Any person of any faith can see that we are destroying the home we've been blessed to achieve and that we have been entrusted to steward. Today, on the cusp of another opportunity to bring the global community together to address this crisis, it is my great honor to recognize this milestone in the history of the UNFCCC. The accession to the UNFCCC and the Paris Agreement by the Holy See in the name and on behalf of Vatican City State is significant as a unique indication of both the ethical and indeed spiritual solidarity that is being called for in this fight for our lives. When His Holiness released a third encyclical letter in 2020, the world received a wise and compelling message on the ecological and ethical challenges we face. This message is born from faith but speaks directly to all, irrespective of belief, ethnicity, or nationality. It will remain a message that will become part of our shared history. It will be a message that we will reflect on in the future when we evaluate whether the many voices that echo its meaning the world over have been heard. The ambition and commitment of Vatican City to the principles and objectives of the Paris Agreement are an appeal that extends far beyond the Vatican itself to the fundamental ethics and principles which are a compass bearing for millions around the world. It is the same appeal we make in Fiji, as a vulnerable small island country. If we can make the move to become net zero, the rich world surely can as well. Fiji is a small island state, welcomes the actions of all states in the vision and implementation of the Paris Agreement. This treaty is a treaty of protection for our common home. It is a guiding frame for addressing a crisis which has no single origin or location. The Vatican City State formally included within the parties to this agreement, Fiji welcomes the attention to the value of solidarity that it brings at a time when the hope of many is threatened by the neglect of a few. Through faith in each other and in the commitment to preserving our common home, Fiji has always maintained that we have the strength to overcome challenges that may seem insurmountable. There is no value in delaying action outside of self-enrichment for a selfish few. We must remain laser-focused on the horizon and the safety we know that lies beyond it. Be that as it may, due to the ground we've already lost, literally and figuratively, in the battle to protect our common home, there are and will continue to be losses that we cannot avoid. Loss and damage arising from climate change and the havoc wrought on the environmental integrity to which our lives, cultures, faiths, economies, and prospects have been built is becoming increasingly commonplace. Loss and damage must not be allowed to become endemic and accepted as a residual cost of transition. When adaptation options are exhausted and global mitigation efforts fall short of the localized thresholds and parameters for safety, we must have spaces and resources to develop alternatives and ensure climate change-driven loss and damage does not become the sledgehammer that permanently divides the developed from the developing world. These losses, fueled by inaction of the past and the present, will not be curtailed if steps are not taken collectively today to correct our course. But like an immense ship turning slowly under speed, this course correction cannot yield immediate safety for countries like Fiji. Indeed, in many cases, the changing climate will continue to drive losses to the most vulnerable and damage the building blocks of economic activities and the sources of livelihoods that many have depended on for generations. These losses have never been adequately acknowledged and certainly never addressed. It is a sincere hope that an appeal to the will for equity that all parties to the UNFCCC take steps in COP27 to provide the necessary financial mechanisms and resources to compensate the communities that have lost the most already to the climate chaos. When Fiji first ratified the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in 1993, we put our faith in the power of unity and multilateralism. At times, the negotiations have challenged that faith, but with the emergence of the Paris Agreement in 2015, our collective footing has changed, and it is with great respect and appreciation that we welcome the Holy See on the name and on behalf of the Vatican City State into the community that will bring the elements and objectives of the Paris Agreement into full bloom. As we prepare for the next meeting of the conference in Sharm el-Sheikh, we are heartened and reassured by the support and commitment of the Holy See and its commitments to help the world's nations bring the dangerous cycles of destruction and indifference to a close. Let us act with a renewed sense of ambition, and let us fulfill not only the promise of Paris, but the promise of shared hope, shared purpose, shared identity, and in keeping with the message and vision of the Holy See, a steadfast commitment to protecting and caring for our common home. I thank you very much. Thank you.